Very much, Vijay, sir.
Rock.
So,
Best wishes. And who is
Thank you
doing the
very much,
recording?
Rajesh.
Mr. Kushal, you're doing.
yes, I am doing. I'll
Anybody doing the backup?
yeah, I'll be sharing you the recording.
No, no.
Is it
Anybody doing the
possible for
backup also?
the breakout rooms and all this whiteboard sharing?
Best wishes. And who is doing the recording?
Hello. Yeah. So we are also on YouTube live right now. And let me share about Teena. So Teena is actually a soft skill and life skill trainer and motivational trainer. She holds a double master's degree actually in information technology and human resources. She has worked as an IT professional, and she has worked also as a teacher, information coordinator, and she was working in call center associate as a HR professional in India, South Africa, and UAE. And so let's invite Tina on regarding the presentation, how to do a why presentation is important in trainers purview. So let's Tina, you can start the session. I'll be muting all 1 second, and then you can unmute when required. Tina, you can unmute and speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We can.
Hi, all. I'm Teena Chrishanthini. Thank you, Mr. Kushal, for the wonderful introduction. Hope I will live up to the standards. And I thank each one of you for being present for my webinar today. I am here to share my learnings and knowledge about the presentation skills so that it would be helpful for each one of us as trainers to captivate and also to enrich our audience. It is said that the biggest fear of all is public speaking. 1/6 of the world's population have this fear of public speaking. How many of us have felt stressed out when somebody said that we need to do a presentation? Lift your hands. Thank you so much for responding. Do you all agree with me that presentation skills are something really very important for us as trainers to make an impact in this world? Do you all agree with me? Please unmute and answer.
We agree, Tina.
I want to
Yes.
hear a
Yes,
loud
yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Agree.
Yes, yes.
Thank
We
you
agree.
so much. Thank you so much. You can mute yourself. So when we give a gift to a child, we don't gift a child just like that. Just buy from the shop and give it to them. We just create the curiosity. We know that children love to receive the gifts. They have an expectation from us, and it is the expectation that we are to satisfy. And when we give it, we always wrap it nicely, put their names, write, "Dear darling, I give to you on this day," and give it to them. And when they open it with joy and they receive it. And even when they receive it, they check it out whether it is the thing that they love, isn't it? So,
Yes.
it is something that adds value to them that we present to them. It is not what we like. We can present whatever we want to our kids, but even then, we learn from them what they actually want during that season, isn't it? It is the same way that we need to present the ideas or the thoughts that the audience need in a way that is presentable. So when it is presentable, always it creates an impact in them and they receive it with whole heart. So that is why presentation skills are very, very important. And I am in the right position to say that I have made lots of mistakes in the past. I have feared about giving a presentation. I had a different idea that I gave presentations in different manners. Then I find out the errors and I corrected them, and I'm in the learning process. And I feel that I have improved a lot. So I'm in the right position to tell you that we all can give a wonderful presentation if we are careful enough and we are thorough enough, and we prepare the presentation with our whole heart. So whenever a food is given to somebody, some of our guests, how do we give it? We don't place everything just like that, add on to that, and you just don't give them and say, eat it. We don't, ask our guests to say, this is what I have prepared. Okay, you eat it. How do we present it? That matters. Now I'm going to share my screen. So please tell me whether you are able to see that. Can you now see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
Tina, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for responding. So whenever it is presented, the fork is kept in a proper place, the knife is kept in a way that, everything is arranged, the towel is kept so nicely, and you can see that plate is so warm. They always they warm the plate and keep it on the table when they present it to us in our hotel, in a very good hotel. And when we are going for a buffet, we take everything that we like and we have it, or we order for the food that we like and we have it. The same way the presentation skills are needed, so that we are able to present the ideas and the thoughts in a way that is acceptable by the people and it is pleasing. And when we start, throughout the presentation, there is some attribute that is completely needed throughout the presentation, that is a good smile. A good smile and an energy is always needed throughout our presentation. So it is said that when we communicate, our words form only 7% of our communication, and paraverbal, that is the tone, attributes to 38%, and the non-verbal is 58%. So it is just the words that we are going to use is only 7% of the total communication that we are presenting. That is involved in our presentation. But the words that we use need to be impactful, and also it should enable the imaginative or the creative thinking of the people right there. They should be able to imagine what we are saying. So our words should be impactful, that it brings out the ideas and the thoughts in the right manner, in a structured way, so that people can remember it. And also it should it should really encourage their creativity too. Paraverbal, the tone, the voice that we use is very much important. As trainers, it is essential that we need to have energy throughout our talk, and we need to, keep our voice, keep our throat hydrated. So I would recommend that we all take a banana. Banana is really good for keeping our throat hydrated. So keep your, eat a banana before you go for a presentation, so that our voice is hydrated, our throat is hydrated, and our voice is without any coarse tone. And the tone that we speak is something very essential, and the pause that we need to have whenever we are communicating an important message, a pause is needed during that time, whenever just before we communicate something that is very important. Our tone, wherever and where we have to raise our voice, the pitch is something really very important. Let me give you an example. You can just say, what are you doing? It is without the energy. What are you doing? And people would respond to that, I'm just writing. Sometimes, what are you doing? So my stress is on what? And we can say, what are you doing? Or what are you doing? The stress is on doing now. The stress on the words in the sentence that we use creates an impact. So when we write down the script, or whenever we going for a presentation, if there are certain words, certain sentences that is really you're saying, you feel that it will create an impact, Make it a point to note down where the stress is going to be, where we are going to give a pause. What is the tone that I'm going to say it in? There is lots of similarities between the presentation as well as the drama. So we need to take care of the paraverbal too, which accounts to 38% of creating an impact during our communication. Non-verbal, our expressions, our gestures, the body language, the way we move our hands, the way that we speak, our eyes, our mouth, everything just speaks to the people and it just attracts them. So non-verbal is something really very important. When it comes to body language, there are lots of gestures, there are lots of ways which we use our hands. And most of the speakers or the trainers use the ones which you see in the picture right now. Can somebody tell me what are the body languages that are acceptable and non-acceptable? You can unmute and speak. So we are all trainers in this field and we have a general idea that what we should do and what we should not do. So it's a lighter subject, so let's just discuss.
Picture number 1 and 3
Hand
are
in
acceptable,
pocket
ma'am.
is not
Hands in
accepted.
pocket is.
Picture number 1 and
Narendra
3.
Hand
Naik,
in
sir?
pocket.
Picture number 1 and picture
Hand
number
in
3
pocket
are
is not
acceptable.
a good gesture.
A hand in the pocket is not good gesture. Yes, Narendra Naik, sir. Thank you so much. Please tell your name and also, please tell your name before you.
Okay. Narendra Naik. Hands in
Thank you so
pocket
much.
is a bad gesture because it communicates that you are hiding something.
Thank you so much, sir.
And
Yes.
open hand is the
Naidu
best.
here.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, picture number 1, picture number 3, I feel they're acceptable. Picture number 2, picture number 4, I feel they're not acceptable.
Picture number 3 and 4?
No, picture number 1 and
Okay.
picture number 3 are suitable and acceptable to my learning. Picture number 2 and picture number 4 are not acceptable when we see the pictures from left to right.
Thank you very much, sir, for your opinion. Yes, somebody else? You can also, not only from these pictures, you can also tell your own. What are the things that you will say that this body language is acceptable and what are the things that, not acceptable?
Uma this side.
Yes.
When you fold your hands and say, then it shows that you're defending yourself. You're defending actually. And then when you have your hands on the hips, you're ready to accept or ready to do. That's what it shows.
So hands on your hip, is it acceptable?
Hands on your hips, generally it says that you're ready to do, you're ready to accept, or you want to do, do in action.
Thank you so much. Sometimes it is in a hands on your hips is not acceptable because it shows that you are very dominating. So, it gives you, a dominating and authoritative picture. So it can be avoided. And as Narendra Naik sir said that, hands on the pocket is not acceptable. Yes.
Madam Ramamritam here.
Yes, sir.
Madam, I feel that actually any kind of body language is acceptable as long as that goes in congruence with the emotion you are trying to display.
Okay. So when we are acting out, when we are acting out.
When you are on the stage, you are actually performing and you are trying to do different kind of things. So that body language has to go well with what you are trying to convey or perform. So sometimes even being aggressive is not acceptable. But if the situation demands, like if you are in a selling skills or something, you want to do something which is aggressive, then you have to depict something aggressive.
Yes, if it comes to a demonstration,
as long as it is congruent with the emotion, any body language is acceptable, is what is my opinion.
Yes, if it is needed, yes.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Okay,
Narendra Naik again.
Madam, I have something to say.
Yes, Sudarshan sir.
See, I believe that freedom of position should be there with the speaker. But more than positions, hands here, there, I feel that there has to be a very dominant connect, eye contact with the audience. The moment you have an eye contact with the audience, the positions of the hands, legs, or hands or anything will really not matter, because people will be looking at your face at that time. So I feel that you should be comfortable. Pocket, hands in pocket, of course, I agree that it looks a little odd, but nobody speaks with his hands in pocket, invariably.
Sometimes, if it is okay, if we have to act out in certain situations, everything is fine. Everything is fine. But in certain cases, unconsciously, there will be certain people always using you can pinpoint at people when you're saying, the power words of when you're using a you, when you want to actually want to impact a person and you want to personalize it to particular people, to the audience, you can use that. But continuously using, pinpointing the fingers to the audience is not good, because it creates, as though we are blaming them. It's an unconscious message that we are sending to them, when usually the accepted one is our hands having open. There are certain people who keep on clasping their fingers or doing like this when talking. So which is, there are certain unconscious actions that as trainers, we do it on stage or before people. And you can see that some, fidgeting their hair, or touching their nose, or scratching their skin, or scratching their cheek. you know there are unconscious body languages, the actions that we do, which may create a false, which may be not respectable before people. So we can always, see the recording, see our recordings, and see how well I was presentable before people. And there is always a chance for us to improve more and more through our body language. And sometimes when we go near to people and address them, or look at them and speak, it is always, it always creates an impact, having an eye contact with the people. At the same time, if we are going to concentrate on one person, and we are so attracted, and we keep on looking at two or three here and there, sometimes if they get distracted, or if there may be a chance that we also get distracted. So we have to look at how much concentration are we giving on to those people. That, always we have to go on the M direction or on the W direction. That is right from the front to the back and to the center, the cross, and then to the cross at the back, and again to the front and the right side. So left to the right, we just need to practice it, going through each and one of them. When it comes to a webinar, it is always good for us to focus onto the camera. So when sometimes we may forget it, so we can always have a bindi, or something, a star, or something, a sticker near that camera, so that we are reminded that we need to look into that cameras.
Yeah, Sanjay here. I have a point here.
Yes, sir.
This is when you mentioned about these gestures which you're showing here, like when you are actually giving a physical seminar, a physical, there, all these three play very well, including the non-verbal part, where expressions and actions are also very important. But when you come to online, what happens is that generally the upper part of your body is only seen.
Yes.
So your hand plays a very important role here, along with your facial expressions.
Yes.
So the hand needs to move in the online webinars, wherein the third one where lady clasps her hand, and generally what happens, people stop moving their hands there. So which may not be advisable in an online meeting. And even pointing can be done once or twice, just to identify with the audience for a certain action or a certain response from them, but not always. The first one is definitely open, forthright, frank. That's the way we want. And regarding podcasts and telephone calls, the first two, that is the verbal and paraverbal, will become very important, because it's just the audio. Definitely. So therein you have to play with both the thing. Both the verbal as well as the paraverbal, for effective podcasts or sales call via telephones or a normal telephone call. Just add it there.
Definitely, definitely, I agree with that, and also, when we are doing it online, our head, nodding of our head, plays a vital importance. Sometimes we forget that and look just like that at people, and when we are looking at the screen, when so many people are there, it may be focused. Our eyes may be focused on somebody else, so people will not feel that they are focused. So we need to train ourselves to look into the camera whenever necessary, and if there is somebody speaking, maybe we can look at them, what they are doing. But if it is necessary that it is always, we train ourselves to nod our head, have a smile always, and our eyes are clear, all that we need to take care of it. Okay, can we move on to the next
Teena,
one?
can you hear
Yes,
me?
Bala ma'am.
Teena, can you? Sorry, I just wanted to say one bit that some of these gestures that you actually showed. Another perspective is also that when you're in a face-to-face session and when you're addressing a crowd, like Sanjay said, if it's a public seminar and when you're walking from the left to right, using some of these is fine. But then pointing a finger out currently is definitely not acceptable because it does get a little offensive when you do it.
Yes.
But also that some of these movement of the hands and everything, many times they feel that it is very distracting for the participant. And then the focus on what you say, that the focus moves off from what you say to, observing this. So that's why they restrict movements and they tell you that to keep it to the really bare minimum because you're distracting the participant who's focusing more on your, body movements rather than focusing on what you have to share. So that is why, and pointing the finger is actually when you want to show somebody, maybe not a finger, maybe you could do it, another way like this. Because the finger pointing sometimes is a little offensive.
Yes,
Sometimes.
instead of using one finger, you can always say like this.
Yeah,
it would be the polite way to say. So
polite
you can
and more.
always say it like this. You can use your hands like that. So
Yeah.
it's we can always be conscious about how what our body language, or what it communicates. Sorry, I have to say that I'm not actually able to see everyone onto the screen as I'm looking at the slide. So if there is someone, because I'm using this slides in front of me, I'm having the slides in front of me. So if you have anything to say, please unmute yourself and say it so that I will know.
Teena Ramesh here.
Yes, Ramesh sir.
I'm from theatre background, Kannada theatre.
Okay.
So we had one of the fantastic directors who is no more, T.N. Narasimha.
Okay.
He was directing one more actor who is a very popular actor now in Kannada films.
Okay.
He comes from a background of English theatre.
Okay.
That was starting about many years back.
Okay.
So he had the habit of lifting, typical Shakespearean acting. So he used to lift his hand like this and talk. In a Kannada, it doesn't work. Why I'm telling you, demographics make a lot of changes.
Definitely.
The way you behave in India, we are very close, and for everything we nod. We are ridiculed so much that nodding is for yes or nodding is for no. For both, we nod like this. I too. So
that is why it is said that we have to learn as when I'm
he was acting like this. The director tied his hands, and the whole character was tied with the hands because he did not want him. It was disturbing, as Bala was telling. It disturbs the flow of information.
Thank you very much, Ramesh sir. So I would say that, we have to nod it, when we have to nod. We cannot be nodding all the time, but we have to maintain that smile, that energy. And especially when it comes to the online, definitely we need to maintain, we need to look at our body language, how we convey the message. We cannot be like statues and, we may be doing some actions below, but if it is not seen by people, then it will not create an impact. So we need to train ourselves in a way so that we are able to openly even communicate through our body. Okay, so let's move on. So knowing your audience, is something really very, very important. We cannot just serve whatever Anybody who comes to the restaurant, they don't come with an idea to take whatever you have or whatever you give. They want what they want. So it is always essential when we approach a company or if we approach an educational institutions, we need to know the audience, even the public. So the analysis have to be done. So we already know how to do a TNA, the training need analysis. So we need to do a complete analysis of the audience, their age group, their understanding. So when it comes to understanding, we need to check through their age. So, what is their age, what will be their understanding, their educational background, and so on. The demographics, the locations they are in, the language that they know, that we need to understand. If I'm going to speak in a language that is not understood by somebody else, or even if I'm going to narrate a big story in a different language, then I should be able to, I should keep in mind that during that time I lose my audience. So I have to be careful that I need to understand my audience, the demographics, the place that they are coming from, their interest, what is their interest, the environment from which they are coming, the needs of the audience. So, as trainers, we need to analyze all this, be customized. So what I'm going to present to a sales team, the communication skills will not be the same which I'm going to present to the teachers group. So it has to be customized. We may have a base plan, but still, according to the audience, our content need to be customized and the expectations of the audience. It is always better for us to know beforehand the expectations of the audience. So when it comes to audience analysis, understanding the demographics, the interest, environment, needs, how it is customized and expectations is something really important to analyze when we have to know our audience. So I have written it down in an acronym form. So it is always better during our presentations, we use acronyms all in mnemonics. Mnemonics, in each word, has an expansion. We actually shrink it to a word. So that is an acronym. If we use an acronym or a mnemonic, it will be always better for audience to understand very easily and remember. I'm just going to give you half a minute. So I just want you to read it out, what A stands for, U stands for, D stands for, and completely. I want to check it out how many of you can remember this. I'm going to stop sharing it in a few seconds. I want you to remember, recollect, and tell me what is the expansion for audience. So whenever we prepare a presentation, it is always we write it down so that we don't miss it out on any other points. Can anyone tell me now?
Analysis.
Challenge, can anyone?
Analysis, I start.
Yes, I can tell, ma'am.
Yes, your name, please, and also.
I can tell. I'm Sanjeev.
Yes, sir.
A is for analysis.
Yes.
A is for analysis. U is for understanding. D for demographics. I for interest.
Yes.
E for environment.
Yes.
Then needs. P for customization. And E is for expectation.
Thank you very much for your response. Thank you very much for your response. Anybody else wants to try? Can we all put our hands for Mr. Sanjeev?
Actually, this is not only for the presentation, but it's also valid for sales, marketing, digital and social media marketing as well.
Yes, even when we do our TNA, it is very much important to know our audience on this scale.
Yeah. Only thing is that in all these which I mentioned, E will be market, environment will be market.
Yes. Thank you so much for that, Sanjay sir. Yes, anybody wants to try?
Yeah, ma'am.
One person can try.
Shall I go ahead, ma'am?
Yes, Naidu sir.
Ma'am, audience, understanding, demographic, then interests.
Yes.
Then needs, customization, and expectations.
Thank you very much. All of you unmute yourself and put your hands for Naidu sir. See, when it comes to audience, it is also necessary that we have audience engagement in between. Else we will lose it. It is said that within 10 minutes, when it is a longer presentation, always within 10 minutes, people lose their interest. They start by losing their interest from the third minute and then go on to the seventh minute, and then by the 10th minute, they lose their interest. We make a great impact in opening our presentation in the first 30 seconds to 90 seconds. That is the range in which we can capture the minds of the audience. So it is essential that we know our audience, and so we will next move on to the next one, which is opening our presentation. Next is opening our presentation with an impact. So whenever we open our presentation, it is, we need to know that what is our tone. So some say hi, but sometimes it is questioned by the audience, why he is making lots of noise. So we need to know our audience, and accordingly, we can conduct ourselves. Even the start should be in such a way that we impact our audience. Already, sometimes they will, suppose in my presentation, if I started as, I said, hi, I'm Teena Chrishanthini. So I introduced myself. I didn't say, hi, trainers. You would be wondering what happened. We are all in the same group. And, we are all in the same category. And why this much of show off? Isn't it? So we need to know our audience, where we have to, say in the manner and how we have to say it. So I said Teena Chrishanthini. It is always when we introduce ourselves, when we say our name, it is always better to end in a lower tone. Say, I said, hi, I'm Teena Chrishanthini. It comes down. It doesn't go up. Teena Chrishanthini. It doesn't go up. So, there is also, it says that, there is an impact when we say our name, slow and steady, and when it comes down in our tone. Then next, I thanked Kushal sir for the introduction, and I also thanked each one of you for being present here. So it is essential that we need to address our audience and say thank you to them. The gratitude is always essential throughout our lives, even in our presentation. So it is necessary that we need to thank our audience. And I said that, I told you why I am here, so that, I'm going to do a presentation on presentation skills, so that it would be helpful for each one of us as trainers, how it will help to captivate and also enrich our audience. So I'm just, splitting up, or I'm doing a post-mortem of my talk, so that, it will be easy for all of us to understand. So these are the powerful opening statements. And I asked you that, how many of you, I gave a fact saying that fear is the biggest fear in the world is public speaking, and 1/6 of people of the world's population have this fear of public speaking. So I introduced with a fact and then moved on to asking you questions. So I'm just open your presentation with an impact so people can remember. So there are different ways in which we can open our presentation. This is anecdotes. Anecdotes are something really very, very important, because when we tell a story, it always stays in the minds of people. It says 20 times more that, if our presentation is filled with 10% of stories, then it is said that, people are ready for presentation. These are all surveys. It says that if your presentation is filled with 10% of stories, then you are ready for the presentation. So these are anecdotes. Anecdotes are small illustrations of stories, real life events, real life stories, and real life events. Yeah, I just put a nice picture so that we all can remember this one. So this person is saying that, he begins with a story. Well, there was this one crazy time my dad got bit by a snake. But this person who was bit by a snake is saying, oh no, fool. I said I needed an antidote, not an anecdote. So antidote is a medicine that is needed, not an anecdote. So we need to check it out where we have to give our thought, or where in which case I need to present my story. So this anecdotes come from the word called anecdota. It's a Greek word, which means unpublished work. It all started in the 6th century when there was a Greek historian called Procopius. This Procopius was a Greek historian and he used to write secret histories of Emperor Justinian. So Justinian was an emperor and he used to write secret stories. So anecdotes, this was during the 6th century that this anecdotes started having its name. So untold stories, sometimes we tell stories from our own lives or about our father, about our mother, their incidents, we share the real life stories which are unpublished. So those are called as anecdotes, and anecdotes are something really very impactful in each and every presentation. So we can have our own story or we can narrate a story of someone who's very popular or someone, who's nearer to us, near and close to us. So anecdotes are really very powerful when we use it in a story. So it is, so 10% you are ready if you have stories in your presentation. So remember, always stories are very powerful. We can also recollect during Empower sessions that Dr. Rajan also used, lots of stories to narrate to us throughout their sessions. So jokes and humor. Jokes and humor.
And I like to interrupt. Sorry.
Yes, Sumana.
Can you come again with the name of the emperor?
Emperor Justinian.
Okay, I'll just make a note. That's right.
Yes, sure. Emperor Justinian, and the person who used to write about when is Procopius.
Can you spell it for me?
P-R-O.
P-R-O.
P-O.
P-O.
P-I.
P-I.
U-S.
Procopius. Thanks a lot. Sorry for interruption.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so jokes and humor, always when we keep people smiling, it's an art. Sometimes, if we are going to try to, crack a joke and people are not laughing, and there is only one way that we have to laugh at ourselves. There is no other go. So I just put a picture here. You're saying that a person is presenting her journal paper. She was asked to make it in a poster format. So she has just pasted it. She has taken printout of her journal papers and she has just made a poster. Made a poster out of all the written works, and as it is a scientific journal, so she is giving him a magnifying glass to look at all those journals. So sometimes it's joking is not a joke. Joking is something very serious. It has to be seriously a joke. So we need to take care of it that we really joke, and else we would become a joker on this scene. So it is always, remember that jokes and humors are always needed, but the joke should be a joke, but we should not become a joke. So jokes and humor, try to incorporate it very carefully and at the right time. Facts and figures. 20% of time, 20 times people can remember facts and figures more clearly. So I just introduced, I used certain facts and figures during up to till this time. I have used certain facts and figures. Can anyone pinpoint at it?
In your opening of the presentation, you refer the number 6% with regard to the fear of public speaking.
Thank you very much, Naidu sir.
Thereafter, ma'am, when you came on to the verbal, paraverbal, and non-verbal, you came out with the number percentages of 55, 38, and 5% in reverse order.
7%.
Thank you so much.
That Mehrabian rule with regard to the effect of communication is concerned, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thereafter, ma'am, few seconds or few minutes back, you drawn our attention. If your presentation has 10% of your stories to the total content, your presentation is complete and it will be impactful.
Thank you so much.
So what I remember randomly with these are the facts which, and you also drawn, whenever you highlight some facts and figures, they are remembered by the audience and you connect more better and you are much more impactful and you bring in the authenticity.
Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot for that. Can we all put our hands, unmute ourselves and put our hands for Naidu sir?
Bob Naidu sir, Colonel, great.
Yes, if somebody else wants to try.
Actually, only when you say facts and figures, that is the time basically your left brain activity is increased. I mean, that is also getting involved. Otherwise, most of the time with figures, imagination, stories, anecdotes, it's the right brain which is at work. So it's making a wholesome approach to the brain as well.
Thank you very much for that, Sanjay sir. So you can understand that facts and figures play an important role, that people can just remember it. Whenever there is a truth, when you say something truthful, it always stays in the minds of people. Sometimes when we narrate our stories, we are saying it with our emotions, which are truthful. And we know that to an extent, what I'm saying is true, and I feel it when I say it. And when I support it with facts and figures, definitely it is going to be a powerful presentation. So remember that we always include facts and figures during our presentation. Okay, next comes the quote. Now, there is only one boss, the customer, and he can fire everybody in the company from the chairman on down simply by spending his money somewhere else, said Sam Walton. Sam Walton is the founder of Walmart. So he said these words. So from these words, we can understand there is one boss and he is the customer. Customer is the boss. So this quote, where we can use it effectively. Where can we use this quote effectively?
To understand the importance of customers.
Thank you very much, Ramarattam, sir. Yes, to understand the importance of customers. So usually where can we, when we go and present it?
We are presenting it to entrepreneurs or business people.
Entrepreneurs or?
This is for the all businesses, including presentation. When you are making the audience is the biggest customer.
Yes, the audience become our biggest customer.
Or any business, any business.
Any business, when we are going to give a sales training. So, quotes can always stay strong in the minds of people. And when somebody has said that, it, automatically encourages people to look into this person's life too. And look into that one. So there are indirect things that has been involved. So having a quote, gives a good impression about you, that you have read through the, the statements of people who are really very smart and who are successful, and who said something that has to, that will provoke our thoughts. Quotes are simply superb. It makes you a person, stand respectable before people when you utter certain quotes.
Actually, anybody who gives money is a boss.
Anybody who gives money is a boss. Okay. We'll put it under Sanjay sir's name. Okay. So let's move on. So in the composition of a presentation, we have the introduction, we have to split into the main body and then the conclusion. So when it is an introduction, it has to occupy less than quarter of our presentation. The main body occupies the main one, nearly about 80%, and less than quarter is occupied by the conclusion. So we need to make sure that we don't elongate on the introduction and then cut short on the main body and then leave it out on the conclusion. So we need to have a balance in this one. Okay. Kushal sir, how many minutes do I have?
Another 5 minutes.
Another 5 minutes?
Okay.
Okay.
5 to 10 minutes max, because then we'll have Q&A session, right?
Okay, I will take about 15 minutes. Is it okay?
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. So can anyone try, I'm not breaking out into rooms because it will take some more time. Can anyone try the powerful opening statements of anything, the stress management or anger management, time management, take whatever it is, just give me few examples of any fact or an anecdote, or anecdote should be very, very short, within a minute. Okay. So, just can anybody try? Can anybody try?
Yeah, maybe I can say that. How will it look that if you want to communicate something to one of your subordinates and you have communicated everything, at the end of it, he does everything the other way, just because he has not understood your language. So on importance of communication, you can do this.
Thank you so much for the powerful statement. So you used a question there. Yes, Narendra Naik, sir.
Yeah, I want to start my presentation with a quote.
Yes.
I request you all to be with this quote throughout my presentation. This quote is, change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Thank you for.
Thank you so much, Narendra Naik, sir. So whenever you say a quote or a poetic lines, you can always repeat. So it becomes more impactful. So you can always repeat the quotes or poetic lines. So that will create an impact. Yes, somebody else wants to try?
A change in the destiny of an individual.
Yes, Uma ma'am.
Yeah. It's on stress management. See, we all have heard that no pains, no gains. Similarly, no stress, no success. I hope you all agree to this. Friends, regardless of age, sex, ethnicity, and religion, no one is immune to the burdens of stress. So,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Uma ma'am. Thank you very much. Yes, somebody else? I don't want to leave it out on anyone. I'm not seeing everybody.
Sanjeev here.
Yes, sir.
Be the part of change you wish to bring into the society. That was quoted by Mahatma Gandhi.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev, sir. Thank you so much.
Teena,
yes, anybody else?
Teena, Ramesh here.
Yes, sir. Yes, Ramesh, sir.
I would like to start with a shocking statement.
Yes.
Hi, guys. This is regarding the education system that's happening in the country. Do you know how many engineers get enrolled every year? 38.52 lakhs engineers get enrolled every year. And in this, 15 lakhs pass out. Of this 15 lakhs, 12 lakhs are without jobs. 12 lakh friends, 12 lakh people are without job. That constitutes 80% of each engineer who passes out is unemployed. And it is 53% for arts and science graduates.
Thank you so much, Ramesh, sir. Thank you so much. It was good. So the shocking statements are something really very important. When you use your questions, we will further look onto it that, when you're using questions, there are different ways of using the questions. And when there are words that, when you can repeat certain words, it creates an impact, especially using a quote or using a fact. You can just repeat the numbers, and the numbers play a vital role. It can stay long, so your impact is really very high.
Teena ma'am, can I say the last quote from my end?
Yes, Mohan sir.
Yeah, I would say that after our introduction, tomorrow is too late, yesterday is over, and now is exactly the right moment. So start concentrating on whatever the things I say. This is what the quote I am going to say.
Thank you very much for that, Mohan sir. Thank you so much. Have I missed out on anyone? Hope I did not miss out on anyone, because I'm not able to see the
screen. Venkatram.
Yes, Venkatraman sir.
Yeah, don't judge your success by opinion of others. Don't
Thank you
judge
so
your
much.
success
Yes,
by
sir.
opinion
You can
of
repeat.
others.
Can you
have
repeat?
self-belief. Yeah, don't judge your success by others' opinion. Have a self-belief.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for that.
Anil want to share something, maybe Anil.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, Anil sir.
Basically a quote from one of the human revolutions. A change in his destiny of a single individual can change the destiny of the entire humankind.
Thank
A
you
change
so
in
much.
the destiny of a single human being can change the destiny of the entire humankind.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that.
Even I want to try.
Anil, I hope Joe Biden will change.
So when we say a quote, it's important that, how we say it, that we need to practice it a lot. So you can repeat the quote again, or you can repeat the name of the person, and the way that you say, the intonation, the stress that you give on that quote, the facts, when you say that facts, the stress that you give on the words is something really very important. Do the things you fear until the fear disappears. I repeat, do the things you fear until the fear disappears. So, you can always, during this time, very rarely you can use you. When I'm saying you, I pinpointed, I use my fingers. So you can use your quotes effectively. So openings of the statements is something really very important, and we have to check it out how well we can present. Okay, so we saw the composition. So when it comes to the content of the presentation, we need to decide on the type of speech that I'm going to have, or what type of presentation I'm going to have, whether it is an informative presentation or a persuasive presentation. When it comes to an informative presentation, it is just, I'm going to give the facts and figures so that I let the people know something. So if it is just for their knowledge, then it is informative presentation. When it comes to a technical presentations, those are informative presentations where they have to remember the procedures or the processes, or they have to have it in their mind. So those are informative presentations. And when it comes to a persuasive presentations are presentations wherein you persuade the people. You want them to take an action. You want them to do something. You want them to agree to you. You want to make them, they want to actually convince them. So select the type of presentation that you want to do, whether you want to give an informative presentation or you want to give a persuasive presentation. Be clear on that so that we can get the facts to it, and you can collate the material in such a way. So when it comes to a presentation process, the presentation process is like a roadmap. So what you have to do at what time. So when it comes to a presentation, planning is very, very important. When I'm going to do that, how many minutes I'm going to do that, and what is the content I'm going to present, all that has to be planned. So what are the things, there are lots of things, even in presentation skills, there are lots to cover. So what I'm going to cover today will come into my planning. So planning, when I plan, accordingly, I collect my material. Then one after the other, I have to structure it in the way that, it is easily understood and it stays in the hearts of people forever. So the structuring of the presentation is very important. When it comes to the delivery, our body language, voice, tone, the content, the slides, the arrangements of the slides, everything comes in the part of delivery. At what time and I'm going to engage my audience, all that should be taken care of when we do a delivery. And when we finish, there should be a learning in that one. There should be an, when there is an audience engagement, there is also learning from the audience, and there is a mutual learning that happens after the presentation and during the presentation. So take care that, the presentation cycle goes through this process, so that the next time that we present, it should always be the better version. It should be the better version of the previous one. Even if we have to present the same slides to another person, to another group, it should be better off than this. So that should be our presentation process. So whenever we prepare the content, it is necessary for us to ask the 5W and 1H, which we sweetly call as 6 helpers. The 6 helpers come in handy for us to prepare the material. So we may ask very few questions. When is it going to happen? Who is the audience? What is their knowledge level? So what is the content I'm going to give? Where it is going to happen? Where I'm going to say what? Or how I am going to say that one. This 6 helpers is something really very important. For this, I would always remember that I would recollect and say that, what Jodhinath Balaji sir has insisted on, answerthepublic.com. So make use of the internet and check for the questions, different sorts of questions when you're preparing the content. So check it onto the site, answerthepublic.com, or you can also check it out in Quora. So these two sites, I would recommend for you to collect the questions so that you can always concentrate on putting up your content. So 6 helpers come in handy during that time. So when we collect and collate the material, organize it in what section I have to put them under it, and what are the things that I have to eliminate and what I should include according to the time, the audience, because there is always a customization that happens. So when we structure our presentation, the 7 C's come in handy. The 7 C's are credibility, the credibility of the person who is talking about the trainer. So it is essential for us to put forward to say that in what position I stand so that I can give a good delivery to you, so that I am capable of giving a good content towards you. So the credibility of the trainer is important, and the credibility of the content is important for us. So context, in what context or the situation or the demographic and all that is considered under context. The content, how valid is my content? Can it be used further by all of the people, all the audience? Is it useful for me? Is it useful for them? What's in it for me is always there in the question of the minds of audience. So we have to, when we prepare the content, it should be solid. It should be heavy for them to take it and go. So that should be the content we should give, that we should add value to the people who are in front of us. Clarity in what we are saying. Let us be clear and concise. Let us not use long words, or it's not a place for us to express all the words in English, the superb words in English before the audience. It is not the place. So it is always necessary that we choose simple words. We are brief in our explanation. We have a clarity. The 7 C's comes in handy when we want to check out through our content, through our delivery. Have this as a checkpoint to check how do I stand in the 7 C's. The channels that I'm using. What are the channels I'm going to use? Is it through the online? Is it through offline? If it is an online, is it through Zoom, or is it through Google Meet, or what I am going to use? The channels that I'm going to use, the websites that I'm going to use. So those channels need to be clear, consistent throughout the presentation. Be clear that you are coming back to the point that you are focusing on the importance of your presentation. When it comes to presentation skills, the capability of the audience and the capability of the trainer as such, for us the capability have to be increased. There should be some search added on to the previous search. There should be content or value that added on to the previous search, that we have to be on the learning process continuously, so that we are enhanced day after day. So check on the 7 C's when we present a structure a presentation. So the questions, the nature of questions that we can ask in the middle or in the front is, there are lots of questions, open type of questions, which invites them to answer more. What did you do today? It may be open type of question, which allows them to answer more. The closed type of questions is, I asked you, do you agree with me that the presentation skills are very important for all of us? And the answer is definitely an yes. So if we can make people say yes to us, there is something, something superb. So try to have those type of questions, the nature of questions that we ask, whether it can be an open type of questions or the closed type of questions or the rhetorical questions, which makes people think a lot. There are hypothetical questions, which makes people think a lot. And there are paraphrasing, which can happen. So when somebody in our group, narrated about the quotations, and I asked them, I rephrased it. So paraphrasing is something really very important. So how is the climate? So they will say that today it's very cold. Then you need not say that yes today is very cold. You need not repeat it. You can say yes, of course I do feel that I feel very chill. The climate is chill and I just enjoy this climate. So you can add on to it. So paraphrasing is something which makes the audience feel very, very comfortable. So paraphrasing is something really very important. Leading questions or the probing questions, you can ask the audience, you can interact with the audience, keep on asking them questions after questions. So what is your main problem? So what do you think that it's the cause of the problem. So what do you think that, what's in hand, what do you have in hand as a solution? So you can keep on probing. So even in the audience, among the audience, they themselves can find out the solution. So in your presentation, you can always incorporate that. So the nature of questions that we select is also something really very important. When it comes to a sales training, the leading questions will be really very, will be of good help. So the probing questions will always be useful on the presentation. So when it comes to the presentation slides, so it is always good to have less slides and we speak more. So let there be, let there be minimum and we speak maximum. That should be the our target. So minimum should be there on the slide, maximum we should speak. So people should not be reading out our slides, but the slides should be powerful, that it has pictures. So the visuals always stays longer in the minds of people. There are different things that we can use. We can use structured charts, we can use mind maps, we can use cue cards, so which will be helpful for our presentation. Infographics is something really essential to know, because these are in trend currently. And if we can use infographics, it will always be colorful and easy to understand. So infographics, always check into that, so that we can use it in our slides, so it looks really very powerful, especially when it comes to statistical data or those type of things. Try to use the charts, try to use the cartoon figures, or the images which are really unusual images always captures the minds of people. So infographics is something that is very, very important. Doodling is something which is currently in trend. So how many of you use doodling for your trainings? It is already in widespread abroad. So this doodling is something really very important, wherein instead of having just writings onto our presentations, we can have doodle figures. We can just draw it on that. We can ask people to draw it, even if it is a map, even if it is a planning session. Instead of just writing down the points, they can always draw figures onto it and present it as pictorial representation, which will be, which will enhance their thinking capacity. So the doodling is something is in trend, and we need, as trainers, we need to know how doodling, how well we can insert or have this doodling into our presentations. So doodling is something really very important and useful these days. Handouts. At the end, people require handouts, so that they are very happy taking something out of the presentation. Whenever something is given to us extra, we all love to have it, isn't it? It is true that a bonus is given to us, which we did not expect, or, which we can have it in our hand, when we can feel it. This becomes really essential to satisfy our customers as such. So when we give the site names, website names, or, those things which they can refer to, always people really appreciate that. So it is essential that we give handouts or the extra information for all our people. So coming to the end, I hope I have, successfully done this one. So when it is a closing, do summarize the entire presentation, so that people can remember it very well. You can use a mnemonic or an acronym, as we use for the audience. We can use it at the end. So we can always use a mnemonic or an acronym to remember the slides which we have put up, or the thoughts that we have put up. You can list it down, or you can just ask the audience, just like how I'm going to do it now. So what did we learn today? So folks, can you all, that's all, we have come to a conclusion. Can you all tell me what you have learned through this session?
Lot of things, Teena.
So can you just thank you so much for that. I just want keywords.
Posture.
Yes, thank you, Vijay sir.
Opening statement, quotations, jokes, how to open.
Thank you, Rakesh sir.
Very simple and clear tips, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so
like
much.
the way you opened it and drawing an analogy between opening a gift wrapping and then the opening a presentation. It's something similar. So that was really a good analogy drawn.
Thank you so much, Ramamridam sir.
Ramamridam,
sir. Okay, thank you so much for that. Nice name.
Importance
of stories.
Presentation so nicely.
Importance of stories. Thank you so much, Rakesh sir. Yes, sir.
Super present.
You wrapped the presentation so nicely. We were very curious to open it and learn.
Thank you so much, Narendra Naik sir.
We liked it very much.
Thank you very much,
Very
sir.
well done, Teena.
Thank you very much, Ramesh sir. So,
basically, we have to use all the tools and techniques we have at our disposal.
Yes, thank you so much. All that we can. We know a lot of, can we, and I have some interruptions. Can you please mute? Thank you so much.
Small correction.
Okay.
Storytelling constitutes 65% of your presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
As per Aristotle, and we saw Rajan enacting it.
Yes. When this is about the presentation skills, so I wanted to give whatever I can so that, we have a gist, have a point in front of us. Yes, I would have narrated completely stories.
Probably, and you're good at telling stories.
Thank you so much, Ramesh sir. Yes. Can anyone just remember what we have collected? We saw about the audience. What type of audience? We have to remember that audience. So audience is our customer, and so customer is our king. So we have to remember that opening the presentations, is it through, are we going to have an anecdote in that one? Are we going to have a question in that one? Are we going to have facts and figures? Have a checklist, write down the checklist and include all this in our presentation. So today I have written down like this because I had this checklist in with me. Did I cover, in audience aspects? Do I have the 7 C's in my structuring of the presentation? If we can plan it out like that, we will be very happy and be a confident presenter wherever we go. So, we become better day by day. It's not that something else, somebody else has to tell us. We become better and better. We have the checklist in our hands and we check it out whether we have included all these things, because we have to have an extra effort to check it out, the stories or the facts and figures or the questions, what type of questions I have to have, when I will have it, what time I will ask the audience, when I'm going to have the audience engagement. All this we need to have, and we have to have a control over our presentation and to have an impactful presentation. Let the closing be an impactful one so that people can just remember whatever is being done and they can just implement it. And it calls for an action. Thank you so much for listening to me all this while. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Teena. It was an awesome presentation.
Super.
Thank you, Kushal sir.
Wonderful presentation, Teena.
Thank you, Balaram.
Excellent, marvelous.
Thank you, Rakesh.
Very useful, Teena. Thank you so much.
Any questions you can ask Teena? If you have any questions, you can please ask Teena. Maybe another 2-3 questions you can take, and then.
I think entire IITD first 15 sessions got revised today.
I even forgot to say that I would use a rationale. All that which we studied, the 5 steps, I would definitely include that one. Thinking about the rationale and how well, my content is and all that, I would go through the 5-step process. I don't want to go into it now, but I would say that when I prepare my content, I'm careful about that, and I will definitely include that one.
Yeah, I have 2 questions, either Teena or someone else. All of you are trainers, so anybody can answer. One question is regarding the use of stories. So I have seen that Dr. Rajan uses so many stories. It is a very good positive thing, as well as some people may be not liking so many stories as well. Some people would want more facts and figures instead of just stories. What do you have to say about that? That is one. After that, I'll ask second question if you allow me.
I would say that if it is going to be content backed, see, for the trainers, if I'm going to tell you stories, Definitely, I'm not going to give you all this in this minute, in this time that has been allotted. I will not be able to bring it to the conclusion. See, if I can use stories, then I would say that, I have this wire, how much it is, tangled. If we can be a little bit organized, we can succeed in life. If I'm going to talk to you like that in this manner, you will get up from this place. Would have got up from this place. Because you expected some content from me, right? So it depends upon the audience. We need to know the audience, where we have to put up. In Empower session, that we wanted a motivational talk, that is Empower. We understood by the name itself. It's an Empower session. It's going to be a motivational talk. Or if you're going to give such a one, it requires stories to grip the attention of the audience. But when it comes to a content sharing, knowledge sharing sessions, there if we are going to share lots of stories, maybe if I'm going to conduct a training program for 5 days, the same presentation skills, I would have given you an anecdote, a long story. Understood? I would have given you a story. For the facts and figures, I have given you a story. For time management, I have given you an example of George Bush. There are lots of things to incorporate. But if I have to compact it and give it to you, in a single package, the time matters. So depending upon that, we can have the stories. And we have to remember, when we tell our stories, we have to create a visual environment. Imagine is a powerful word that we can use in our presentation. So imagine that, you are sitting in front of a palace, and you can see, in the morning daylight, you can see that palace glittering with gold, made of gold. Imagine that the king is coming out of that. We can make the people imagine. If we have to grab the attention, we can always do that. But what is our purpose? The audience matters. So we have to use the stories. That is why we have to write it down. How many stories? If I have to write down a story, tell a story, always have, if I have to remember a story and write down or tell a group of people, starting, middle, and end. Because sometimes while telling a story, you may get lost. So there are people having writing pads, noting it down, having a checklist before them, saying that, okay, this story should come at this time. So this is a starting, this is the middle, I have to say this word, this catchy word. At the end, I should say this, the moral of the story. So the starting, middle, and the end, if we tell a story, it should be there.
Even otherwise, the story, Vanya, the story needs to be contextual, right?
Yes,
you can have n number of you can have n number of stories with you. I have many stories ready, but I have to know when to tell that story, at what point of time, to get what point across. It has to be contextual. Each story cannot be told in each training, right? There is a specific situation.
Yes, definitely not.
Yeah.
Can I add?
There is a time. Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Please continue, Bala, and then I'll say.
Yeah. No, I was just complementing what he says, that a time, place, and circumstance. It depends also on how you weave the story. It is very important to weave, and it has to be contextual in terms of relevance to the whole topic, and keep it short. Basically, many times it drags loose into it. So keep it short. Don't say too many of it, and like Teena was actually saying, your ability and the skill to actually make them visualize that whole scene through your storytelling skill is how you can be successful in integrating it as part of a methodology when you do your delivering your content, basically.
See,
one moment. Actually, with regard to the storytelling and the person, he was saying some people may not be interested. When you're actually presenting on life soft skills and life skills, stories are connected. And only when you are having a financial presentation or a technical presentation, their stories are not required. There you go for more stats and facts, right? So when you are going for life skills and soft skills, stories are interesting. And as Teena and Bala, both of them said, you have to see where you can insert them. And then you note a punch word, a technical word, a very impactful word, which they can remember. So it doesn't create any boredom. Thank you.
Actually, Uma ma'am, for the financial presentation, sometimes it can get very, very boring and monotonous. And in many things, people typically share an experience in such a way that it brings in some kind of, this thing. So it's not exactly storytelling, but when I'm talking about an incident or sharing facts, that when I say about experience or a particular incident, in a way that it is like a story, still makes the whole session interesting. Just to break the
personal
monotony.
experiences.
Yeah, can I come in?
Please.
May I come in?
Chandrasekhar sir.
Yeah. Regarding story, I have my small viewpoint which I would like to put across. Stories can be anything which can be either from mythological or any lesson learning or from your own life cycle, and that can be anywhere, it can be connected, but there should be some context in which a story can be brought in. Pure technical communication when you are doing, or technical presentations, maybe a financial or any other technical presentations you are making, there also you can bring your storytelling, provided that is your own personal experience or something which you know about it and you can share it. That will definitely make an impact on the your presentation.
For me, I just told one liner saying that, I am in a right position to tell you that, that we have to improve on our presentation skills because I have flopped in certain areas during the past. I just finished it in a one word, one line. But if I can definitely narrate a story, if it is going to be a presentation skills webinar, which is going to be conducted for 3 days, I would have definitely told my story, how I actually flopped. My content was highly packed. The impact and the stories which I did not include from my own experience, all that were there. There are certain areas which I found out, where I have flopped. So that helped me to, get myself back onto stage saying that, no, I will not do what I have done previously. I will not repeat it. So stories have to be contextual. And not only that, we have to remember there is audience in front of us. The audience disruptions we need to handle. They would disrupt in the between. We may have certain noises, that we have to handle. There will be additions from people. So we need to handle those additions from people, and we should encourage a limit. We have to have a limit wherein we need to know to how much we can have those additions. We cannot let a person keep on talking. That additions are there. So we need to be careful about that. Agreements. So some people will agree to what we are saying. We will handle those agreements, and also we will have these objections from people. So all these we need to handle. So just a story will not be okay for everybody. So we can have one or two stories in the presentation, but it has to be up to the point. It cannot drag. It should be able to.
Teena, just to add this to your context, what you are talking, Bharti here. Just, like when you're talking to students, we should also be very conscious about what kind of story we are sharing, because it should not be too much for their age to understand, or too boring. We should not overload them with our story, because sometimes it may not suit their age as well, isn't it? So I think that also should be taken care of.
Hi, Teena.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Teena. This is Anita here. Anita Balan from Mumbai IITD.
Yes,
2020 batch. Fantastic presentation. But unfortunately, I missed out a little. The reason because, some internet problem. And since last 2-3 days, I have this issue. So, but whatever I heard little, it was fabulous. Too good. And I could relate very well because in fact, I am going to give a presentation tomorrow. Of course, it is for an NGO. So I would love all of you all for that. And maybe by tomorrow morning, I shall post it in the group as well. And this invitation is for all. Kindly register in that and you can all join in. Thank you so much. But I would really, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really love to hear it once again. Whenever next you are having it, because I lost my internet connection. I was was there, and then I had to move on because I heard I could relate well.
Yeah, what's your name?
Her name is
Yeah,
Anita. Anita from batch 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Anita is breaking. Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Vanya.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so it was very nice, but yes, I couldn't hear everything properly because of the internet connectivity, some problem.
You can watch the video later.
Anyway.
Yeah, you can watch the video later. We'll be sharing in the group.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Officially, I'm just closing the live YouTube which is going on. So I would like to thank everyone for participating, and we look forward for next event with the new topic and a new trainer. So those who like this, please put a good comments for Teena so that people can call her, ask her for her training sessions as well. And in future, yes, for you also who are liking those comments or writing the comments as well. So thank you all. I'm just closing the